Welcome to Wireguild. This video is about antiquing or oxidizing. Lots of people have said, how do I do my oxidizing? Because usually at the end of a tutorial I just go ta-da and there it's been oxidized. So I'm going to set myself up on my sink so that I don't get the platinol, which is what I use, the liver of sulfur liquid, anywhere else. And I've got some bits and pieces of copper jewellery. I've got a paintbrush and some rubber gloves. I'm just going to put on one rubber glove so that I can still work the camera with my other hand, which is going to be a bit weird, but I'm sure we can do that. Sorry, we're a bit wobbly. Right. Platinol, as far as I'm aware, only available in the UK, but there are lots and lots of different liver of sulfur solutions out there in the world for you to buy. This one is very strong, so as I paint on with my paintbrush, it does dissolve the paintbrush over time. It turns the metal black instantly, hence the reason I'm wearing gloves. Not particularly nice stuff, doesn't smell very pleasant. And when I get my hand out of the way, there you go, you can see what I'm actually doing. The paintbrush gives me a little bit more control where it goes. I can sort of avoid the stone in the middle. I haven't come across any stones yet that object to platinol or that it affects them, but it's guaranteed if I poured this into a bowl and, you know, submerged the whole piece, that stone would object to platinol. So just use the brush. It's only a little tiny cheap paintbrush, goes in all the nooks and crannies, and I can get in everywhere, because of course you can see the brightness of the copper and it's shining, so you know where you need to go. Once I've got plenty on, I can give that, normally I'd have 2 gloves on and I would rub it between my fingers with both hands, but we'll just see how it works wriggling it around with one. There we go. So you can see almost black. If I use what I've got on my gloves and just give it a rub, you can already see that that is turning the metal dark, but that's just the difference. When I paint on is instant black. Don't forget to get all your areas, get the inside as well as the outside. If you've got lots of curls or coils or fasteners, make sure you get into all the little tiny nooks and crannies and then just give it like a rub with your fingers. I've got a couple of bracelets and I've got a pendant here. What I tried to do was pick things that had different levels of curls or height on them so that you can see. I always do the inside. Right, let's put the lid on that, because otherwise it's guaranteed I'll knock it over and it'll go everywhere. So I'm going to put the other glove on because it just feels a bit weird working with one glove. And then I'm going to give these a rub, making sure that I've got my platinol goop, my liver of sulfur mixture, all the way through. Now I do know that some of the liver of sulfur mixtures that are bought, you have to actually submerge your piece in it and you just wait till it develops. But I would think the finished article would be much the same. That's got lots of curls on, so I'm going to give that quite a rub. Okay, let's get this rinsed. I'm going to have to move the camera, so glove off. Now I'm going to turn water on. It doesn't need to be hot water or anything like that. It can be cold. I'm just using a cold water and I am rinsing it. And I'm going to rinse an awful lot and make sure that we've got all of the mixture off the metal. Last thing you want is someone to put this on and wear it and find that the skin's been irritated, because it is a very, very strong alkali and you really don't want that on your skin. So loads and loads of water. Might get that rinsed. You could just pop this in a bowl of water. Now I'm going to try and get my gloves clean. I find it's easier to clean my gloves off when they're actually on my hands. If I leave it on the gloves for any length of time, it sort of denatures the rubber of the gloves and makes them go a bit sticky and horrible. So I make sure that I get it all washed off when I'm finished. Okay, move those out of the way. So now we need to go from this very, very black stage, and we need to get that lovely sort of antiqued look that we're after. I do know that there's quite a bit of jewellery about at the moment which is sold in this black stage. It's not really my taste, but people must love it, so each to your own. It could be that you like it. So I've got some steel wool. It's ultra fine. It's about as fine as I can get, and I must admit I don't like touching it. It feels weird. It's a bit like velvet. Ugh. Anyway, pair of normal scissors, and I'm just going to cut myself a small square off. There we go. Put that out of the way. It starts to need nature as soon as you wet it, so the other bit I've put out of the way so that it doesn't get splashed. So I'm going to put, whoops, sorry. I'm going to put a bit of water on this. There we go. And some hand soap. I'm actually using tea tree hand soap because it smells really nice. And it gets rid of the stink of the platinol, because platinol's really smelly. And then I'm just going to scrub. So I've dotted the soap on. The soap is working as a lubricant. It's not really because of the smell. It's so that I can really rub the metal without it damaging the metal, without it scratching or anything like that. The soap is there to, you know, ease the motion, the friction between the two. So enough to bring up the top of the wires, but not enough to damage anything. This piece I made particularly for this demonstration. It's never something I would sell because it's absolutely just a mass of curls. It looks like some sort of sheep. But it's showing you how much rubbing you need to do. Always do the back as well as the front. The same with the bracelets. Do the inside as well as the outside. You want your piece to have a uniform look all over. So it has to have the same amount of rubbing. Now I've swirled off the soap and it still needs more doing. You'll be able to see straight away. Now if you didn't want to use wire wool, I've just speeded this up a bit because I'm going to be at it for a while. If you didn't want to use wire wool, it's a bit better. Don't know whether. Yeah, a bit more in there I think. And a bit more down there. I'll just rub those. If you didn't want to use wire wool, you've got like a Dremel with a little mop, you know, a little polishing wheel on it, you could use that and polish the piece. Everywhere you rub is going to come up bright. It's going to rub away that top layer of oxidation and you get this gorgeous two-tone effect. So you could use that. I know a lot of people use a tumbler or a barreler. Personally, if I'm going to use a barreler, I will put the piece in, barrel it, take it out, and then I'll polish it because I prefer the brighter highlights. Barreling doesn't really give you those. So that's one bracelet. Let's start on the other. I will show you these without it whizzing by so fast. It's just that you don't need to see me doing all this slowly. I'd be here for hours, you know. You'd be sick of hearing me. So remember to go into your nooks and crannies, so into the clasp. And you can see by this, we're nice and bright on the top and dark underneath. Now I've got a little bit of wire wool still remaining because it does disintegrate. And I'm going to show you the difference now on a piece that's both copper and silver. So it's a woven copper band and it's got like a silver cartouche on the top that I've made. And it's got a peridot in the middle. And as you can see, I'm just sort of scrubbing around. So it works just as well on silver as it does on copper. There's really, really no difference. And in a minute, I will give this a rinse and I'll show you what we've got. There we go. So the silver's come up quite bright, a little bit dark just on that side. The only problem with the soap is it does stop you seeing what you're doing. You do need to rinse off. And I'm just trying to do the inside of this. It might be better fastened because if it's moving like mad. You either need to get your fingers on both sides or you need to fasten it up so that you can, it's got something to pull against. So we'll give it a rinse and we'll see how we're doing. Lovely. Now at this point I would dry these off and then give them a light coat of Renaissance wax, but that's going to be on a different video. Thanks for watching. Happy wrapping.